Thank you very much. Sanbonan, Ninjan, I Siazam. The Minister of Science and Technology, Comrade Mavivi, my leader, and one of the radical women in South Africa, and a thinker. Because what I've learned is that if you don't think as a woman, people will always take decisions on your behalf. Our panelists, the Charlotte Maxeke Institute, I've also seen the management from the Department of Women, young leaders. Young leaders are not going to be created by Queen Elizabeth or Obama.
Yes.
They are going to be created through experiences and participation in our activities. And I think the most important thing for us now as the women's movement is to give ourselves time and listen to young women. One thing I'm proud of ngokusebenza no-Comrade Mavivi was that after all the meetings of the Women's League, I would go to her and say, these are the decisions that came up in the NEC or the NWC, and how are we going to implement them? She would assist me and ask a question, how are we going to implement this one? And this one, and this one, and this one, and that one. And she would say to me, you must not allow people to give you things that are not going to work and things that are not going to be implementable. And when I heard that for the first time, I was a little bit shocked, because when you are in a meeting, there are people that excite you. You then write down the things they say, and when you go and sit there, you find out that this thing is difficult, I can't implement it. But also defining issues of women's liberation and access, and even how modernization has excluded us as women. The issues of the car seat belt. And she raised that in the NEC and said, look, the car seat belt is not for a woman. It's for a person who is flat. It's not for someone who gets pregnant. And it's not things we think about. You go to the airport, there are, and even in Parliament, there are the paving in Parliament is beautiful, it looks beautiful, but it's made with small stonish things. And women's stilettos break every day there.
It's true.
And airport, there are these small holes that are made through steel. They are not for women. So the universe has done little to accommodate us as women, and in most cases we are pathfinders. Let me go back to the issue of education. Yeah, our parents had to work very hard for us to pass and go through various standards. But if I look back, I always see that my teachers favored bright children. And not those that could not understand the system of education. They leave you behind and take you, there is a class A, B, C, D. And they decide where you should go, whether you go to general or commerce, science. And general, you find yourself as doing history, agriculture, geography, biology, business economics. And also, the examination paper, a simple thing. It's written in 2 languages. Why? Because you cannot respond to a question you don't understand. So what the Afrikaners did was to say, okay, you can write the paper in English, because it said that English is an international language. But for our children to understand or to be able to respond to questions, you must also have the Afrikaans version of questions. And for us, the starting point is that you read a question in English and you have to turn that into your vernacular language. That is the process that is going on in your mind before you also interpret back to English your response. It's something we don't see, but it is something that we have done, and which says we have made more effort in as far as education is concerned. Education food, it's formal. You have to sit in a classroom during the basic stages. And yet, a child's brain is like a sponge. If you speak to her in Zulu at home, and at school they speak in English, they have more influence because they have more time with the child. Not unless you say, from Friday we are going to speak Zulu. That is what I have done at home. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's Zulu. Okay, they can communicate in other languages during the week, but, and also, we must insist that our kids, even if they are here in Tshwane, study or do one of the African languages. I don't care what a language that is. Also, my daughter says Huri, and then her big sister say, stop this thing when I. Why? Because she's doing Pedi. She understands it more than us. I know it's not a first class Pedi, but I said I am not going to have a child that cannot speak an African language. Now, the very bright kids are also destroyed by the system of education. Because they see you perform very well, they move you to the next class, and they fast track your education, and they don't give you special attention so that they can see your speciality, so that you are groomed towards that. You have to go through this education system that is stereotyped, that originally was for empowering people to deal with issues. But now you have people that have been to school but cannot interpret what they have learned to practice. Because our education system is about passing and getting 50% for utilize, and then 70% if you want to get a bursary. So I think right now we are somewhere, and we have accepted what is going on. And the thing is that we've not been able to express these things so that people do not say we are dumb, so that people do not say we sisabi isikolo, so that people do not say we are lazy. Teenage pregnancy and grants. I've listened very carefully to my colleagues saying teenage pregnancy has created high levels of grants have caused high levels of pregnancy. And the grant is 250. And then how do you get pregnant for 250? It says that in itself says women you can't calculate. That is what it's saying. And we have 3 research outcomes on grant and teenage pregnancy. There is no link. And we are running away from real things we see at home, because you develop your theory to what you see at home. As we are speaking today, our girls, young girls and boys, because of the food they eat, mature very early. Yes. You have kids that menstruate at 9. Yes. You have kids that menstruate at 10. Mm. And that says you are a fully developed woman. And how do we deal with that? And besides that, kids have access to media. Now, they watch TV. I'm not talking about relationships of young people and old people. I'm talking about people below the age of 16. And people did not know sex, did not see it. But our kids watch TV. They know what happens if you have sex. And you used to shout at people that had relationships. Yes. And you did not even have an understanding of what a relationship is. And even Bona, at lower primary school, they did not have an understanding. The fact that they were standing opposite or diagonal to each other, we would get excited and not know what they were doing. Yes. But now our kids are also very vulnerable. About below 16 and adults, someone must be arrested. Yes. Yeah, so that people understand what we are talking about. And then Minister of Science and Technology has spoken about issues, the 4th Industrial Revolution. I shiver every day if I hear people talking about the fourth industrial revolution, because I know that women and girls living in the rural areas do not have access to EIT, e-data. It's expensive. When you have to apply now, you have to apply online. And we are running after development or industrialization, but we are not looking at the poorest of the poor. Because we are a different nation, we are a different country. Our programs must always ensure that we deal with the issues of poverty. Now, again, you have someone applying for NSFAS. She stays in the rural areas. And then you call a NSFAS to say, so and so says she has applied, but you have not come back to her. And they would say, no, but we've approved her bursary. And then you talk to a person, and she would go to university and find out that the process is too long. They end up sleeping in lecture halls. Yes. And one day, a young woman sent me a message saying, I better go home. I left my grandmother suffering there than sleeping here. And when we made a quick follow-up, we found out that she got the bursary, and so the only thing she did not have was a proper system of getting that information and also responding to that information. And they were just about to pass her name and look for other people. Our systems were too are like a safe. We have not locked them, because if you work in an area, you must always lock everything. E-access means a lot to our people. You can have as many programs as you can, but as long as our people do not have access, they will not get programs that will benefit them. And the issue of skills transfer, it starts from socialization at home. At school, it's formal education, and then you go back to work also. You grow gradually. And one of the challenges that I've seen now, Comrade Steve Chwete used to say, no, but you don't work as if you are preparing. Who knows this cut? You make it now, and it's ready, people drink. He said, if you organize things, you must work as if you are making a traditional beer. You do it or prepare it over a long period of time. So now we live in a Itagunisa era. Yonke into yethu is fast. And right now, I feel a justified push from young people. But we have young people that do not want to listen. We have young people who want to jump stages. And how do we deal with that issue? Because we created that situation. But how it was created through a destruction of the family.
Yes.
Now, kids are running families on their own. And with us, our parents will leave us in the morning at 6 o'clock. The way we were disciplined. Then thereafter, they will tell you that, hey, you must wake up, wash, eat, go to school. And we would do exactly that and come back home, straight home. And why? Because there was support. They tried. Now at Tina, we have single parent families. Umama takes the responsibility of everything, and umntwana ka mama. And the support system of the extended family that assisted you to even understand things and move on and pass without studying actually. The way our kids are studying is a problem. They don't play. They are always with books. They carry 2 bags. And I always say to myself, Aibo, when do the teachers find time to take our kids through all these
books?
Yes. When do they do that? Tina, we used to have only 5 books and we would pass. Where have you ever heard of a child that is in grade 8 and now busy consulting? They refer references. It's fine, that is good, they are developed, but I think when the right time comes for them to deliver, they will be tired. And they will be tired because at home, the girl child has to do everything. At school, there is a lot of work. So what are you developing? What are you creating? So let's freshen up our ideas as women and not just say we need to be united. Even white people, they are not united. They are different racial, they are different groups, but they find it easy to say to us we are different tribes. Why? Because they have used something that we were taught when we grew up, that you must be proud of your culture. And actually they've used that to undermine women. Because the culture that is perpetrated is not that one of being proud of who you are. It is the culture that makes you feel inferior as a woman. And a culture changes, but culture yethu yangiqala, when it has to do with women, it remains the same. It does not change. And what kind of culture is that? Because NJ culture changes. It is not static. So we need young people that are going to process all those issues. I must say I have learned a lot through working with young women, as well as young men. And I'm sure Comrade Mavivi, Ambassador Mavivi, remembers Unomatyala. You see what we see today of the boy child feeling threatened. Unomatyala used to say, let's focus on the boy child. Men feel threatened about everything that is going on because some people have always done things for them before. Now they don't understand that they are still high up there on top. They are already shivering when we have not even arrived there. Because there isn't anyone saying, "Aye, we are not there." You have enough time to prepare for equality. Aye, they are shivering. You don't understand what is going on. The issue of mental health is one other challenge that is there in our communities. Partly because you go to elections in '94, you don't have a process of healing. You have the TRC, but you don't do everything that is supposed to be done. E-healing is the most important part of a country. Because right now, we are faced with issues there, psychosocial, issues that we are faced with psychosocial problems that need support from home, that need support from professional people. But your extended family used to be your first point of call when you had problems. But now we don't have extended families. We have a single parent families. And therefore, you need to strengthen them so that they can be able to shock themselves, because from morning to 10 o'clock, you are busy. So you need something that is going to shock women, as well as children, more particularly when it comes to the issues of, I think, discipline. Angeke ukwazi ukudila nayo as an individual. You need your partner to be there. So right now, we are at the tip of an iceberg when it comes to the issues of mental health. And we have just been walking through, not recognizing that we are in that stage. When universities were merged, there are courses or marks or credits that became inferior. You are in your third year. You are studying a 4-year degree. And then there is a merge. And you go to UCT, or you are from Westville, you go to a University of KwaZulu-Natal. Westville points become inferior. And you have Astina, some of us have not been to school, or even some of our parents. And you have a child staying at school for 8 years, studying just an ordinary BA. And you hear the grandmother of the child saying, "Hey, is she studying medicine?" And that in itself is a challenge. And if you look carefully into kids that died of depression during the merger, or that just committed suicide, you can see that there was something very wrong when the merger was done. We do our things haphazardly. We don't give ourselves a time And Mina Tulas, I'm very happy about these dialogues. Where is Tulas? The reason I'm happy about these dialogues is that at least we are going to talk and have an understanding of what is going on in our communities, so that our programs are structured in a way that will accommodate or challenges of communities must find expression in the program of the government. One other issue about grants, when people say a grant must be terminated, I always think about Alexander and Sentin. Just imagine of what would happen, because as Minister Kupai has said, most families depend on the grant. Why? Because also most people lost their jobs. And they never went back to their jobs because most industries were closed. For instance, the textile industry, it's very weak and it's supposed to be the strongest because wonke umuntu uyagqoka impahla. But people bring their things to us every day. So that is the type of education that we need. The education that will assist you to think and analyze things deeply. But also, Bantwana Bethu, we want you to study so that you can come up with solutions that will deal or intervene directly to the challenges that face our country. And you have the capacity to do that. So please don't undermine yourselves. You are very important. I was taught by young women, I was here last week, who said it's very important to say to your child, I love you. Because if you don't say that, another person will say so. One other thing that we must be, okay, we must write our history. We must not allow other people to write our history. Because if we allow them to do so, when they feel that, this is a very strong movement, they destroy it and redefine it. Fees must fall. What Mina assists me about fees must fall, and I'm always proud about those young women, is that there was identity. And so there was a turmoil created about fees must fall by the student body itself. Young men saying these young women do not have a mandate. Yes. Why? Whenever women do something that they think is going at the end to say, hey, this is a great success, they create a turmoil. They redefine what you want to do for their own benefit, not for the benefit of the nation. And therefore, young people, and those that are not at university, that were part of Fees Must Fall, you must always be there to give guidance. That is what you call mentoring. Because it's a short period. It's a tertiary institution. So if you go and say, I'm no longer there, I'm in another space, You are leaving younger people empty, and you are leaving them with a good program that they cannot interpret. And I agree fully with Minister Kupai, but also as government, we need to sit down and be very clear on who should we prioritize on free education. And call the stakeholders, sit with them and say, this is what we think we can do for now, and we are going to grow gradually. A grant started at 8 years, 14 years, now it's at 18 years. So we can do our things gradually, and we need to teach our people patience. One other thing that I would like to raise is that things that are one size fits all are problematic. Nathi unity yethu, we must define it and characterize it differently and strategically, so that everyone can be part of our programs. Don't talk about e-unity that wants to deface your origins, that wants to deface where you come from. Once you have that, you must know there is a man behind who wants to take over and run with the program and say, you women, you don't know what you want. You are divided. When they themselves, they originate their ideas in bars and meetings and cocktails. Yes, and then you think they are very brilliant. You hear them, Mavivi, I support Kupai. Kupai, I support Dr. Shabalala. Dr. Shabalala, I support Rajen. I support Zubedi. And you think, Haibo, all these people thought the same way. No. They caucus before they come to a meeting, accommodate themselves. And with us, we just want to fight forward and unity, not understanding what we are really fighting for. The most important thing is a theoretical understanding of what you are doing, as well as a practical implementation. You talk about investment. How is it going to resonate amongst poor communities, women? Because you have rich women that are in business, you have poor women that don't have anything. So how do you ensure that they are both accommodated? But Tina, ours is to focus on the development of our people. You can't boast of one or two women in mining and then see all other women crawling down there in the ladder of development. So I thought I should also say, each country here depends on social solidarity. Social solidarity that is in our constitution and human rights. And whenever we do our things, we must always know that rights go with responsibilities. So after this, I agree. As the Department of Women, we're going to take some of the ideas and infuse them into the thing that is called in government APP. Infuse them there so that you walk the journey, you fall, you rise through the ideas of people. And people must know where you have challenges. We must not behave as if everything is okay. In order to get support, you depend on other women. Thank you very much.